Warm greetings to you all. In this video, we are going to observe hybrid teaching and learning. So, before we get more details about hybrid teaching and learning, I would like to discuss traditional mode of teaching and learning because it is actually practiced widely in our country, especially in the institutions of rural places, areas. We used to handle our classes most of the time very traditionally. Obviously, there are so many advantages in this traditional classroom, traditional mode of teaching and learning, because it is used to provide much needed human touch to the learning process. The students are not only learning the prescribed syllabus from the teachers teaching inside the classroom, they are also imbibing the personality of the teachers, as well as they used to learn so many habits and social skills from their fellow students through their peer group interaction. So this traditional classroom paves way for developing the personality of the students along with their gaining knowledge. Meanwhile, it is mandatory to make the knowledge of students correlate with the present technological advancement and globalization, because we are living in the digital era. Our student community belongs to the generation Z, or we can use the term centennials. Centennials are the people who are all born between 1990 and 2010. So this generation has been raised on the internet and social medias very much. They are very much habituated to this virtual environment. In fact, they used to observe the entire universe using their camera holes most of the time. Even the kindergarten kids, we can see, they used to be very much proficient in handling these electronic gadgets because they're entertaining as well as educating. They are getting entertainment as well as education through this media, through these smartphones as well as technological, we can say electronic equipments, electronic gadgets, sorry. So we should deliberately incorporate the ICT tools to our hybrid teaching and learning to engage these centennials. Now, let's observe. I have an insight of hybrid teaching and learning. What is the term called hybrid? Hybrid is actually the combination of two. So, here in this hybrid teaching and learning, we are going to combine two modes of teaching and learning. The first one is our regular traditional mode of teaching and learning, and the second one is ICT enabled virtual classrooms. So, hybrid pedagogy is a method of teaching that utilizes technology to create a variety of learning experiences to our students, as well as these instructors used to incorporate technology tools in their pedagogy to enhance student learning and to respond to a wide range of learning preferences. The premise behind hybrid pedagogy, hybrid teaching and learning is that it provides the benefits of personal interactions with the students inside the brick and mortar classrooms. That means our usual traditional classroom, as well as the student will have the benefits of flexibility of online assignments as well as accessing the materials online. So, while as we are sharing our teaching materials online, it will be very much helpful to the slow learners actually, because they can learn at their own pace of time as well as they at their own convenience, as well as we can say repeatedly. they can take as much time they needed to absorb as well as to learn certain topics, certain content. Likewise, the smart students will have this access of materials as reinforcement. So they can revise the materials as much time they needed because it is available online for their convenience as well as for their flexibility of timing. And thirdly, we can say it will be very much helpful to the students who were absent to our classes. Ultimately, this hybrid classroom, this virtual classroom will enhance the learning process to the extent. While considering the role of teacher in traditional classrooms, we can see the teacher used to deliver the content which he or she has prepared for the particular syllabus, and the teacher used to check whether she has delivered the content to the students clearly, whether the students are coping up with the delivery of their contents, and they used to get receive feedback from their students regarding their lecture. Finally, they used to evaluate and assess the learning level of the students, understanding level of the students using assignment, quizzes, seminar topics, and internal assessments, internal examinations, or external examinations like our semesters. This is the ultimate role of a teacher. Though the teacher used to be student-centric in the traditional classroom, the prime thing occupies in their mind is completion of the syllabus because it is mandatory for them, it is a compulsion for them to complete their syllabus within the limited 90 hours of a semester. So, their ultimate aim is to complete the syllabus. But in this hybrid teaching and learning mode, the faculty used to use their familiar roles, use their familiar teaching role with some modifications, and they need to adapt some new roles too. In this hybrid teaching and learning, the teacher has to take up the role of a facilitator. So instead of a teacher in the traditional classroom, in the hybrid teaching and learning mode, the teacher needs to be a facilitator at first. Then the teacher has to be an instructional designer. Social role. He or she has to take up the social role. Community builder, we can say. Time manager, and sometimes technology troubleshooter too. So there are two distinct related aspects in this pedagogical role. The first one is teaching style, and the second thing is instructional design. Both are very important for a teacher, either in the traditional classroom, otherwise hybrid teaching classroom too. We can say ICT enabled classrooms too. Now, let's see a video. Let's watch a video regarding this role of differentiated roles of teacher in a traditional and hybrid classrooms. So that is a simple video which demonstrated what I have told you so far. Now let's elaborate the factors as well as the roles of teacher in hybrid classrooms. The first one is teaching style. In this hybrid mode of teaching and learning, both the teachers as well as the students need to make some significant changes, adjustments. This mode is completely learner-centric. Hybrid mode is completely learner-centric. So the teacher who is lecture-based so far needs to transform his role completely. Here the teacher cannot just teach alone, but the teacher has to facilitate the learning process too. The instructor must be prepared to devote more effort towards guiding, supporting, and encouraging students in their work. So the teaching style, the teacher has to completely change his or her teaching style. The second thing is instructional redesign. It is supposed to convert the traditional course to a hybrid format. So the teacher has to become instructional designer too. The faculty must rethink and redesign the course. It is mandatory to create new learning activities and integrate online as well as face-to-face components, course components. Because the teacher has to take up the role of the teacher inside the brick and mortar classroom too, as well as he or she has to facilitate the course in the virtual classrooms too. For both of these aspects, the instructional design should be completely different. So the teacher has to focus on these two aspects. This instructional designing is really very time consuming actually. Thus, it needs the best efforts of the instructor to make it more effective and useful. The instructor should realize the potential of both the environments to create an integrated and rich learning experience. That is the most essential thing. Then, the teacher has to facilitate the students' learning and offer greater interactive in both the classrooms, both traditional as well as virtual classrooms. The third one is social role. While converting the traditional courses to the hybrid format, most of the teachers worry that they are losing their personal connectivity with the students. But actually, they have a conception that the relationship between teacher and the learner used to be strained in this hybrid mode. But on the contrary, the centennial students used to interact more in the online discussions and virtual meetings comparing to their traditional physical classrooms. So it is provided that the communication increased in a hybrid course compared to a traditional one. Even I can share my own personal experience here. I have started practicing this hybrid course since that last academic year, I can say 2019 to 20. The students were not interacting well to me as well as to their peer group inside the classroom. So we had created a WhatsApp group for the specific class, and we had our discussions over there. They felt very comfortable to communicate with me as well as with their fellow students. And they used to hesitate in communicating as well as sharing their ideas and views inside the classroom, inside the physical classroom. So we created a YouTube channel, and I used to assign our students to make a video presentation for their assignment and seminar. And they have to share it with me through WhatsApp. We started posting it in our YouTube. I received a good number of response from my, I can say introvert students. Even from the introvert students, I have received a good number of response. So this social role is highly possible and highly effective in this hybrid classrooms. The fourth role which the teacher has to take is managerial role. These hybrid courses demand the teachers and the students to be more organized and prepared comparing to a traditional physical classroom. Both the faculty and the students enjoy the flexibility and increased personal contact in this in this hybrid mode. But they face some challenges and confusions because they have to navigate between this traditional as well as virtual classrooms. It is a little tedious in the beginning, but after we are used to it, it will be more comfortable, and even we can say it is more feasible for both the teachers and the students. But for that, we need some patience in the beginning, as well as we have to do some practices. We have to give a little effort in the beginning, but in the course of time, it will be more useful and more flexible to the teacher and the student. Finally, the teacher has to take up the role of a technological troubleshooter too in this hybrid classrooms. The teacher who does not be an expert in the technology feels more stressed while handling this in the beginning. Sometimes students take the advantages of these technological glitches, network glitches, to neglect their assigned works. The strategy to be followed here is that the instructor should always have the plan B. If the student fails or neglects to submit their assigned works, we should have a plan B to make them work. So we have to be over smart our smart students actually. Our students, usually being over smarted, but we have to be little more, we can say little more cunning. We can use the word cunning here, little more cunning as well as little more smarter than our over smart students. And while handling this technology, we need to have more preparation actually, because we are the millennials, the teachers, we are millennials. We need more talents to tackle these centennial students because they know all the pros and cons of this technology. So these are our responsibilities while transmitting our traditional mode of teaching and learning to the hybrid mode. Now, in the aspect of students, I'm applying Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm applying this theory, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to, um, to demonstrate the factors influencing students' satisfaction in this blended learning. The first one is physiological needs. We human require basic needs to survive, like water, food, air, etc. Likewise, the basic needs of hybrid learning is that a student should have an electronic gadgets like smartphone, tablet, iPad, a personal computer, or a laptop with a good internet connection to access the course materials as well as to take up our assigned works. So, with all these physiological needs, electronic gadgets and internet connection, the student can actively participate in this hybrid learning. The second one is safety needs. While using the course for the very first time online, the students used to be very anxious, more anxious, because they may not be much familiar with this online educational environment. So it is the responsibility of the instructor to make the students feel ease and comfortable in the beginning. The third aspect is belongingness. This hybrid learning has more facilities to maintain and strengthen the belongingness, we can say relationship. So this hybrid learning and teaching and learning, this hybrid mode has more facilities to maintain and strengthen the relationship between the learner and the instructor, as well as it will strengthen the peer group interaction too. For that, we can use discussion forums, chat options in some learning management system like Moodle, Google Classrooms, even Omeo. And there are so many learning management systems are there. And we can use even emails, and some interactive learning platforms are also available to facilitate this collaborative learning. The fourth level is self-esteem. Every human expects to be respected and appreciated by others. So, it is again the responsibility of the instructor to acknowledge the efficiency and efforts of the individual students now and then. It should be like a positive reinforcement to them, and it will motivate them to uh, enhance their learning even better. The last one is self-actualization. Self-actualization means the students have to realize their own worth. There are so many tools available to personalize their learning process and make it more meaningful and relevant to them. In this stage, in the self-actualization stage, we can make our students submit some creative assignments or projects using the ICT tools. So, it will enhance their creativity and imagination, as well as they will be they will feel proud of their final output, which is going to be showcased in our virtual platform, as well as it is going to be shared with their friends. So, while seeing their excellence being shared with all, they used to feel more, more we can say more proud, as well as more responsible to make it further, to enhance themselves further, as well as it will create more confidence in their learning process. Fine. Now I would like to give you some common advantages and disadvantages of this hybrid teaching and learning. It may not be meant for all. It is not applicable for all, because we are facing different situations and positions. It surely depends on the individual who is involving in the particular occasion. I am just listing some common aspects alone. The first advantage is round the clock access to the training resources. So, the students who used to be a smart learner, as we have discussed this earlier actually, smart learners can use the materials to reiterate their learning process or learning enhancements, as well as the slow learners will be very much benefited, as they can study it at their own pace of time. And the students who have missed their classes physically, they can access this material online. So any level of students, as well as any kind of students, are not going to miss their learning process. Then we can have a better communication and a collaborative learning in this hybrid mode of teaching and learning, because we are posting our materials online before our in-class time. So the students can read and try to understand what we have presented online. In our brick and mortar classroom, we can have more interactive sessions actually, because as they have accessed the course materials prior to the in-class training, in-class traditional classrooms, they are getting some better knowledge about the topic. So they feel confident enough to interact with their teachers, instructors inside the classrooms, in their traditional classrooms. The last one is tracing learner skill and performance development. If we have incorporated the right tools to our blended learning course, we can easily track the learner's eventual improvement in the process. There are so many tools available online to access the performance of our students. We can do it using either gamification or regular testing too. So these are the advantages which I have listed. These are actually the common terms. And if if we are using some hybrid classrooms, I may face some advantages in this, and it is really a disadvantage to you. So it is depending on the individual. Now I am listing some disadvantages, which is also some common factors. technological dependence. While incorporating this technology into our course, we have to face both the advantage and the disadvantage too. The instructor should use the technological tools and the resources that are easy to use, reliable, and up to date. If the learner does not have the access to the content available online, there won't be any meaningful impact in terms of overall learning environment and experience. And in case of any technical issues or inadequate technical accessibility, the objective of this course, this advanced learning strategy, is completely unachievable. There is no meaning at all. And the second thing is, as it is self-paced, it is self-disciplined too. If the learner is lacking in these two, the objective won't be fulfilled at all. It is not only the responsibility of the teacher only. The instructor doesn't mean to take all the responsibilities in this hybrid mode. It is the student who needs to take the equal responsibility of the learning process. So the role of the teacher is to facilitate teaching and learning, and it is the role of the student to take up the responsibility of facilitate their learning process. So they need much self-discipline to make this more successful and meaningful. I have listed only a few advantages and disadvantages from my own perspective. It is not about the whole thing of this hybrid classroom, hybrid teaching and learning. And as I have stated earlier, it is not applicable to all of us. Now, finally, there is no doubt that the education system of our country will be adapting this hybrid mode widely even within a decade. So, it is time for the teaching fraternity to incorporate at least some ICT tools in their teaching methodology to confront the changes in our education system. Thank you for watching this video. I will be posting some tutorial videos for ICT tools which will be helpful to you somehow. Thank you all once again.